There was this one man who was going through a severe debt. And he got a revelation of rejoicing. He started laughing in his office. He just started laughing and laughing and laughing. And probably the staff around him, they wondered, and they started laughing too. I mean, he had a huge debt. And when he got this revelation, he started laughing and rejoicing and laughing and praising and laughing away. All of a sudden, he found that monies were just coming in. And he was able to cancel all his debts out. But God meets when you're rejoicing and when you work righteousness. Rejoicing is an act of faith. Rejoicing is where you show, Lord, I have faith. That's the reason I'm not mourning. I'm not in sorrow. Because I know if I rejoice, you will meet me. Rejoicing is an act of faith. It's not some worldly thing. It's an act of faith. When a person rejoices, you can know that that person walks by faith. Not just temporary happiness, but you just rejoice not because everything is working right in your life. When things are not working right at all in your life, just rejoice. Just make some time to start rejoicing and make an effort and say, I'm going to rejoice and I'm going to laugh my way through into the victory. I mean, just get into laughter, dancing, clapping your hands, raising your hands and rejoicing and singing songs of praise. Because God says He meets him that rejoices and worketh righteousness. Those that remember thee in thy ways. Behold, thou art wroth, and we have sinned. In those is continuance, and we shall be saved. In other words, He simply says, when you do the right thing, He's always going to be there. Probably you have messed up. Maybe you have made mistakes, you made some wrong decisions. You have invested in wrong investments, or whatever you have done something wrong and you've messed up, well, you feel bad. But what are you going to do now? Are you going to cry over spilled milk? Are you going to say, oh, nothing is working out, I feel so bad, I made a bad decision because of my wife, because of my husband, or because of my grandmother, or because of my... You start complaining and making all kinds of things. You start saying, instead of grumbling, why don't you rejoice? I don't know, Lord, I'm just going to rejoice. Because you meet me when I rejoice. You meet me when you rejoice, when I rejoice, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. You just start seeing the blessing of God when you rejoice. Rejoice. Make an effort to rejoice and say, I'm going to rejoice. In spite of what I feel or what my circumstances are, I'm going to rejoice. Proverbs chapter number 3 again and verse number 5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto your own understanding. Lean not unto your own understanding. Don't lean unto things and say, okay, I'm just going to lean unto my own understanding. Your understanding will take you to a wrong direction. It will take you not in the pathway of Christ, but trust in the Lord with all your heart. In all thy ways acknowledge Him. In all thy ways acknowledge Him. Whatever you do, acknowledge Him. Lord, I thank you. I acknowledge you, Lord. When I do something, I say, Lord, I acknowledge you. I put you in first place. In all thy ways acknowledge Him. Confess Him. That's another word that also means there. In all your ways, confess Him. Confess Him. Speak about Him. Acknowledge Him. You say something. You start taking actions and you start saying, Lord, I believe it's you. And He shall direct His paths. He shall direct His paths. When you acknowledge Him, you'll be directed. When you honor Him, when you put Him in your businesses, in your workplace, in your movements, He will direct you. You know why He doesn't direct you? Because you do things before even asking and consulting Him. You say something without thinking. You don't ask the Lord, well, what did I say? I should have not said that. Either you call back the words or ask for forgiveness. Cancel those things out. Sometimes we just make troubles just because of our pride. There's a scripture where it says, I believe in Proverbs, where it says, pride stirs up a lot of strife. It's pride that stirs up a lot of strife. One scripture is here. In Proverbs 17, the beginning of strife is as when one letteth out water. Therefore, leave off contention before it be meddled. There's another scripture that I thought of where it says, it's always pride that leads you to strife. It's always a proud person who doesn't think eventually gets into strife. Or it's a proud that leads to a lot of strife. And also there's another scripture where it says, your mouth can take you to a lot of trouble. Maybe I'll find that scripture first. How our mouth can put us into a lot of trouble. Chapter number 21. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse number 23. Whosoever keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his souls from trouble. So if you don't guard your words, speak wisdom out of your mouth, you're going to cause a lot of trouble. So our mouth can take us to places that we don't want to be in. So think before you speak. Think before you speak. Don't just say things out just because you think, well, it's all right for me to say it because after all I have the rights. Well, you may have the rights, but there may be times that you got to learn to speak peace instead of speaking your rights out. So every right thing at the right time, we think, well, it's my right after all, I have a right for it. Why don't we be more peaceful and joyful and be more loving so that you can cause things differently to happen in your life?